This time on Monkey Life. Brian's on his guard when he comes face to face with his new neighbour, orangutan Tuan.
Everybody's going to have to get used to the fact that there's another big male around.
Baby Leo is finally well enough to meet his new housemates.
Leo is craving that sort of parent figure now.
And Lemur Blue shows the ringtails who's boss. Monkey World in Dorset, buried deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescues and rehabilitates abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
Have you packed your stuff? Got your favourite comics and everything?
The park provides a home for more than 240 monkeys and apes from 20 different species. It's the day after the Great Ape Move. Sally's gang have done a house swap with Gordon's mob, because Gordon wasn't happy living next door to the park's other dominant male orangutan, Tuan. Both groups seem to have coped well with the move, but have been kept inside until now. Today, the chimps get to see their new outdoor playground and their new neighbours.
I think this is going to be a really good decision for all of our apes across the board. Separating the male orangutans was the priority here. That's going to be really good. And for the chimpanzees, you know, down here at Pavilions, we've already had a lot of chimpanzees down here. 19 in Paddy's group, 15 in the Bachelor, and now we've got Sally's mob over here too. So they just have to get used to the neighbours.
So, with lots of other chimps living close by, it's going to be a big change for Sally's group. But they do have a massive new climbing frame to look forward to.
Brian's raring to go, so I'm not going to hang about. Brian! Hi, Brian! You ready? And they're off.
A very excited Brian leads the way, quickly followed by the others. Despite their squabbles, Brian, Sally, Lulu, Ash and Rodders are a close-knit group. Leader Sally is quick to explore her new surroundings. As is Ash, who heads straight for a bird's-eye view. Lulu is more reticent. She's not keen on change, so it may take her a little longer to adjust. Young Rodders takes it upon himself to do a patrol of the perimeter. He's in for a shock when he finds out who lives next door. Sally is being unusually cautious. She's also being eyed up by the Bachelor boys, who've noticed there are suddenly more females on the scene.
To have all of this extra space and height and all of the housing and everything, it's just fantastic. And they should, you know, develop and grow in this enclosure and have a really nice future.
With the chimps finally calmed down, it's time for them to meet their new neighbours over the large fence. Tuan and his ladies have been kept inside until now to allow the newcomers a chance to find their feet. Gordon didn't feel easy with Tuan next door, but Brian is fascinated.
Brian's on the top of the tower, all puffed up, looking at these new orange people because he's not seen them before. So he's displaying the orangutans. That kicks the Bachelor boys off because they see another big male across the way displaying. So everybody's going to have to get used to the fact that there's another big male around. Really great that Gordon and Tuan are now separate. And Sally's have a new lease on life with a huge enclosure and nice area. Just brilliant. They're really going to enjoy this enclosure.
Another group who love their enclosure are the lemurs. There are 9 ringtails currently living at the park, led by female Fennel. And there's also a ruffed lemur called Blue. Today, staff are preparing them a seasonal treat, but they're going to have to work to reap the benefits.
We'll leave all the seeds and stuff in so they can get their hands in, have a few treats in there. I'm just adding a few bits of raisins and sweet corns, a bit of scatter feed for them, some of their favourite things, so they should be a bit more interested to come over and have a look.
The lemurs are mischievous and have no intention of waiting until Emily has laid all the pumpkins out. With her back turned, Fennel and the dominant male Indiana dig in. Emily has brought lots of pumpkins to give everyone a chance. But Blue has other ideas. She's a law unto herself and certainly doesn't take any notice of leader Fennel. She chases the others away so that she can hog the pumpkins.
Blue's doing her usual trick. She does like to think she's the boss in here, trying to chase them away so she gets first pick of everything.
Blue loves winding the ringtails up.
Hopefully she'll get bored chasing them around soon enough and then the ringtails can come back and kind of have her leftovers.
Blue finally seems to have disappeared, so Indiana nips in again. Lemurs aren't very nimble-fingered, but that's not stopping Indiana, who's grabbing as much as he can, while Blue is chasing Renton in the trees. It's Renton's turn now, and he's cleverly using his tail to balance. Even low-ranker Douglas is getting a turn, although not for long. He's spotted Blue. In the wild, lemurs do sometimes eat seeds, although their diet mainly consists of fruit, leaves, flowers, and insects. Confident Fennel targets one of the trickier pumpkins.
George, look at this. Come on then.
But there's one lemur who hasn't had a piece of the action yet. Elderly George has been separated from the others because he's rather slow and suffers from arthritis, so isn't particularly agile. He preferred being on his own, so the team have given him a house next door to the others where he can live out his days in peace. George may be old and have stiff limbs, but there's certainly nothing wrong with his appetite. And with Blue safely out of the way, some would say he has the best of both worlds. Even though he's on his own, George can see the other lemurs, and that's an important part of the philosophy of Monkey World. The team are keen for all the primates to live in social groups as they would in the wild. Today, one of the park's most recent arrivals, baby marmoset Leo, is going to meet his new housemates. Leo was brought here 5 weeks ago after being rescued by the RSPCA. He was in a dreadful state, but with the correct diet and care has made amazing progress. So much so, he's being put straight in with 2 other young monkeys.
Well, it's really important that Leo goes with marmosets as soon as he can, really. We would have done it as soon as he arrived, but unfortunately, because of his physical condition, we weren't able to do that. And now that he's really improved and he's moving around, we thought, OK, let's get him in with somebody. And it's just good. It keeps him busy and it means that he learns all of the social skills, which are really important.
The 2 marmosets Leo is going to live with are also new to the park. The RSPCA asked Alison to rehouse Fred after they discovered he was living in a tiny birdcage in a house in Bridgend.
Fred's got a bit of a weight problem.
Fred is different to the other marmosets at the park.
It's a Jeffroy's marmoset, not a common marmoset that they thought that they had. So really, that marmoset, Fred is his name, needs companionship of his own kind, or at least another marmoset, and we'll get him back to the park and try and do just that for him.
You have a duty of care to that primate, and at the moment, that duty of care isn't good enough.
Fred was confiscated because the RSPCA and Monkey World felt his living conditions and his diet were inappropriate. Just a week after Fred arrived, another marmoset was brought to the park, after once again being confiscated by the RSPCA.
Hey, little man. And his name?
Sammy!
Sammy and Fred were put together immediately and have settled in well.
Fred and Sammy, in some ways, are very similar, but in some ways they're very different as well. They both love their food, which can cause a few squabbles every now and then. We don't see them interacting an awful lot. They groom each other quite a lot, but generally they don't play it that much.
It's time for them to meet baby Leo. Staff are hoping Fred and Sammy will keep a watchful eye over the youngster, who should really still be with his mum. They're a little cautious at first, but they soon seem happy in each other's company. This is a big change for Leo, who in his short life has only ever lived on his own.
He's doing a lot of baby cries, which is a really good sign. It's submissive, and hopefully it will mean that Fred and Sammy will accept him more. He's even gone up to them and started trying to take food off of them. Fred and Sammy do really like their food, so they don't look like they're going to share it anytime soon.
Leo has quickly latched on to Fred and Sammy and wants to be close to them.
He has tried to jump on their backs a couple of times, which they're not overly keen about, which would have been good because obviously Leo is craving that sort of parent figure now. But as long as they all get along and everybody gets a share of the food, then that would be really ideal for us.
Fred, Sammy and Leo are the latest in a huge influx of marmosets to the park and are all victims of the British pet trade. But space is fast running out, and soon the team may have to start turning away small monkeys like these. Coming up, Gordon's arrival causes quite a stir in Hanania's group.
Come on, Junior.
And one last night with Alison for baby Wooly Bueno Jr. With Sally and her gang happily settling into their new outdoor space next door to Tuan, attention has now turned to Gordon's group. Over the last few days, it's been all systems go to fortify their new enclosure, ready for their grand entrance. Hefty Gordon is almost 100 kilos, so the team wanted to be certain the climbing frame could hold his weight. But Gordon, Amy, Xiaolan and Lucky are getting restless.
They kind of good at hiding their feelings, the orangs, I guess. They've been locked in for a few days now, and they were starting to get a bit nervous and chase each other a little bit, get a bit intense indoors.
The team do one final check of the perimeter. Orangutans share 97% of a human's DNA, so are super intelligent, and given half a chance, would take the newly refurbished enclosure apart. Gordon's mum, Amy, is first off the starting blocks, followed by Lucky. They're both watched by some curious chimps in nearby Hanania's group. But it's the arrival of the big man himself that really stirs their interest. They're not used to having orange neighbours, and some of them will have never seen an orangutan before. Despite his size, Gordon is surprisingly agile, and the chimps seem mesmerised by him. At his old enclosure, Gordon was overlooked by the bachelor group of chimps, so he takes Hanania's mob all in his stride.
He had a look at the other chimps next door, went up the towers, had a look from there. I didn't see him agitated in any way or about to lose it like the chimps were, but yeah, that's just the way they are.
Lucky has already started to test the foundations, while Xiaolan decides to inspect the new climbing frame. She's a shy orang and likes to spend time on her own. Meanwhile, inquisitive Amy is keeping the keepers on their toes.
Yeah, I don't think that's a very good idea. I might have to sacrifice that. But
Amy has a large appetite and has spotted a plant she might be tempted to eat. But Jeremy's concerned it could be dangerous for her. She'll have to make do with boring old grass instead. This doesn't bother Slimline Lucky, who has quite a taste for it. As for Gordon, well, there's no stopping him. He seems delighted that he no longer has rival male Twan watching his every move. Apart from the arrival of new neighbours, there's been a lot going on at Hananya's enclosure in recent weeks. Chimp Cherry gave birth to twins, and they've finally been given names.
We've taken the decision to call the twins Thelma and Louise. Not sure which one's which so far, but we'll attribute one name to one twin as they grow and develop and we can tell the difference. But at the moment, they come as a pair, so it's Thelma and Louise.
Cherry doesn't have the best track record when it comes to motherhood, having lost interest in and abandoned 2 babies in the past. But this time round, she does seem more attentive. The arrival of Thelma and Louise did cause some upheaval in the group, but everyone seems to have got used to the new additions and normal business has been resumed. Being the dominant female, Cherry already commands a lot of respect within the group. But now the twins are here, everyone wants to be her friend. She seems determined to carry on as before, albeit with Thelma and Louise in tow, even joining in a group grooming session of leader Hananya. Simon, who is a high ranker, has been at Cherry's side ever since the twins put in an appearance, taking on the role of doting uncle. But in the last few days, he's finally relaxed a bit, and even found time to play with some of the other females, giving Cherry some much-needed space. Not so for Cherry's other self-appointed minder, low-ranking Arthur.
I think Arthur is probably one of the few animals that Cherry is still a little bit conscious of in terms of his proximity to her. He does tend to get a bit overexcitable, and certainly she keeps, you know, the twins guarded when he's nearby.
The next few weeks will be crucial for Thelma and Louise. The Chimp team are keen not to interfere, but at the same time, they will be keeping a close eye on Cherry to make sure she doesn't revert back to her old ways.
There are lots of variables this time as to why it might be different in terms of how we've been able to leave Cherry with the group and not separate her at all for any reason at any stage since she's given birth. The group is maturer. They're quite a stable group that have been together, so Cherry's got a long history with some of the individuals. And certainly we have seen no evidence of her putting those babies down at all. Not even for a moment. And what an achievement if she rears those twins. You know, she's a special Chimp with a really important role to play in this group. But if she manages to rear those twins, then, you know, she's really going to have a special place in everybody's heart.
Another of the park's babies is growing up fast. Bueno Jr. now spends almost all his time with Lavar's group of woolly monkeys. He's been hand-reared since he was born, so still goes home with Alison at night. But that's about to come to an end.
Really quite emotional time, actually. He's so well adjusted and good with his new family. They all love him to bits, everybody in the group, so really our job is now done here, and I feel so proud and pleased. He's happy and content, even with me stood here. He's looking at me like, are we going home now? He looks good to me, and I'm so pleased for him. Really, really nice that he's got a family group of his own kind again.
Bueno Jr. had a difficult start in life. He was born by caesarean section and immediately rejected by his mother Sarah, who was startled to find him clinging to her when she woke. She accidentally damaged his tail, and there was concern he wouldn't have full use of it. But to see him now, you'd never guess he'd been through such trauma.
We've raised a confident, strong, and healthy little woolly monkey, moving around the room with confidence. And from the beginning, we've made sure that he's had good environments in order to be hanging from his tail and clinging onto things quite tightly. So anywhere he goes, he's got a safe place for him that he feels comfortable and happy, and that's the main thing, is making him feel content and happy and like this is his home. Come on, Junior, let's go. Come on, Junior. Good boy.
Baby woolly monkeys are very dependent on their mothers. So for the last 5 months, Alison and the team have had to act as foster carers, preparing him as much as they can for life with the woolies.
Where are you going? No, I know. I just want to wipe you off. Let's get you tidied up. It'll be interesting to see how gentle or nice he plays with the other woolly monkeys once he fully gets into playing with them, because he plays very rough with us right now. And I've been sort of trying to, like, you know, grab his ears and play rough with him and make him laugh. Because when he's in with the others, this is exactly how it's gonna be, and they're gonna bite him back quite hard and play hard with him. So he needs to be able to do all of that, and we're encouraging him effectively to be unruly. But it's all the better for it, aren't you, my little man? Isn't it? Little man. Yes.
If all goes to plan, this will be the last time Bueno Jr. wears a nappy, and the last time he goes home with Alison. It's time for the little woolly to cut the apron strings and move on with his new family. Next time on Monkey Life. Tragedy for Chimp Cherry.
Little Louise is limp and gone.
And a stink fight at the lemur enclosure when 2 new arrivals are given a rude awakening.